Hi, this is Cindy Presgraves with Real Estate Divorced Single Mom, and today I have Dave Glaser.
Hi.
Hi, Dave. How you doing? All right. So today's podcast is going to be about like dating in this world. I mean, dating, personal growth, a little bit of everything, especially like, okay, really people, why are you ghosting people? We're grown-ups. Where's the communication here?
Yeah, why is it so hard to have a difficult conversation these days?
I don't know. That's a really good question. Really, really good question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, there's a lot of fear that comes up there. Is like, I'm afraid to face somebody else when I feel like I'm going to let them down or reject them. It's as hard on me as the rejector as it is getting rejected. How do you feel?
But in my case is, okay, so I'm a very upfront person and blunt.
I've noticed, yeah.
And I'm like, well, you know what? If it's not working out, it's not working out. I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to waste my time. You know what? Sorry, but this is how I am. And if you don't like it, just keep on scrolling or, you know what, block me. But in my case, I guess because I'm a business owner, that's helped me a lot to build my confidence. But in the business side, I'm really confident. But when it comes to dating, it's like, all right, do I ask for his number? Do I make the first move? Am I coming too abrupt or not? But when I reject the person, I'm okay with it. I'm like, look, I'm not interested in you. Sorry.
Right. That's probably what gives you so much confidence, is because you're no longer invested in the outcome. You're a little bit practicing some non-attachment to what they think. And you're like, it wasn't the right fit, so I can easily let that go. But when you end up liking somebody and you still have to reject them, it's facing that hard conversation that people have such a hard time with.
It is, but it all depends. So, because I mean, usually it's not like it's not like, I don't know, because I mean, you expect them to call you back or send you a text message or be like, okay, so is this guy ghosting me? Is he too busy? I mean, I get very busy too, but I don't know even how to act.
Are you talking about like coming up with reasons why they're not texting you back? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but then I get concentrated in other things and I'm like, oh, forget about it. Never mind.
Right. Because you already have a full life from the sounds of it. Like I listened to your first episode and you were talking about all of the things that you've pursued in your life. And it sounds like you have a very full life and you're only going to be willing to allow somebody in who complements that. Did I get that right? Did I miss anything?
That is correct. And I do have high expectations. So it's not, and I like traveling too. Like, look, if I'm not here, I'm basically visiting my parents, visiting my brother, or doing something. But I don't like, I like to travel. And it's like, for instance, a few months ago, my brother's like, hey, you know what? I'm like, look, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it or not. Last minute, I kid you not, like it was like 2 hours before the flight. I'm like, hey, come and pick me up. Pick me up at midnight. I'll see you there. He's like, what? All right, no, fine. But
yeah, where were you supposed to be going?
Texas. I flew into Dallas, and then the following week, I did the same thing to Puerto Vallarta. So I'm like, hey, where are you guys staying? They're like, okay. He's like, don't worry about it. Just come over. I'm like, okay, all right. I'll see you there in a little bit. And a lot of people don't deal with that being spontaneous that way. They have to plan. I'm like, you know what? If I don't have anything else to do, I mean, believe me, yes, I do have a lot of things, but I don't want to bury myself in work. Monday through Friday is really important for me. Friday, like after I pick up my kids, it's what are we going to do? Where are we going to go?
Yeah, totally relatable. Yeah, tell me more about what it is about travel that's so important to you. Why is that such a high value for you?
Because I like exploring things. I like doing new things. It's not only that, but I like to meet people. Oh my gosh. I sit in a Delta lounge. Okay. I'm a platinum member. Sorry, medallion. I'm hitting diamond this year. But it's the connection.
Just got to slide that in there.
Promoting Delta. This is not sponsored by Delta, I promise. But my thing is
not yet.
But my thing is connecting with people. I love to connect with people. And I guess that's like my go-to, like the way I can actually connect with people, sit down and be like, start a conversation. I mean, I can do that anywhere, but I feel like I find more high value people in the Delta Lounge or when I travel first class, and, I can actually communicate and connect with them.
Yeah. So you're looking for somebody who matches your energy level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sounds like that energy level is pretty high from the messages we sent back and forth. And then the first episode of the podcast that I listened to. Yeah. It sounds like it's hard to keep up with you.
Yeah. Cause I mean, it's just like, okay, so I usually don't plan things out, but my friend told me, she's like, hey, you know what? She's like, I was thinking about going to Greece. Greece? I kid you not. In less than 2 hours, I already had the trip planned. I'm like, don't worry about it. We're leaving on the 18th through the 27th. And you know what? Don't worry about it. 2 weeks out, we'll just plan where we're going to stay, what we're going to do, what things. We're going to be fine. She's like, I can't believe I just booked a trip to Greece. I'm like, you don't tell me twice. I don't joke about traveling. I do not joke about traveling. You say we're going to travel, let's go.
Yeah, I dated somebody with a high value on travel before. Lived in New York City, and it was a very reasonable flight to jump on over to Paris or London or anywhere on the western side of Europe, and that was a really high value for her. In my experience, international travel hasn't been something I've been able to venture into yet. My daughter just turned 19. We had a trip planned to Greece for her 18th and my 40th, but what do you know? The pandemic came along, and it derailed my career, and it derailed my plans to celebrate those milestones for us.
Hey, want to come over too? Don't worry. I asked my mom. I was expecting her to say no. And she's like, oh, I'll go. But if you're going to do it with long layovers in France, in Amsterdam.
Oh, so you have time to explore?
Yeah,
what else,
9 hours.
What else comes up for you for a long? Yeah, what else is a reason to have long layovers?
That's the only reason. Exploring. Food and exploring. I like to eat. And travel.
So it sounds like you're in it for the experience in every area of your life.
Yes.
Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, that is correct. And then I have my 2 little kids too. I grew up with traveling. My brother's a flight attendant. Both my brothers are a flight attendant. And I'm like, this is important for me. And since I was 6 weeks old, I traveled all the time. And my dad used to work at the airport, and that's where we got the travel. But now I do have to pay as a grown up. So yeah. And that's always
adulting problems, yes, right?
But my thing is like food is really important. Diversity, getting to know other cultures, connecting with people too, because you never know when you're going to encounter them again. And you say, I'm never going to see them. But then again, be like, oh, wait, didn't I meet you like 10 years ago? Yeah. And this actually,
I don't remember.
And this actually happened.
I was pretty busy 10 years ago.
This actually happened to me like a few months ago. So back when I lived in Minot, North Dakota, I worked at the airport, and all of a sudden I was walking into like the gate and like in the plane. And then I saw one of my friends. I'm like, I didn't know you were here. She's like, I didn't know you were here. I'm like, wow, you should have told me. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it at all. But we did a quick hello and I left.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Right.
But
so
what about you? Like,
go ahead.
What about like, what is like your like whole thing? What is the value of technically men? I can't I can generalize, but I know not everybody's the same thing. I mean, what is going on with men nowadays? Like, do they really want a relationship? They don't want a relationship. They want something casual. I saw a post, and this is how it all started. So one of my Facebook friends said, look, I've been dating this woman and she wants me to be exclusive, but then she gets upset because she doesn't want something exclusive. She says that I'm being selfish because I want to see other women, but she wants to see other men, but she wants me only to be with her.
So it sounds like one of the two people is very unclear about what they want, or they want to have their cake and eat it too. Is that about right?
Yeah.
So That's a very difficult situation. And I've heard of this before where like one partner wants to explore an open relationship and the other person is saying yes because they love that person so much. And yet it still goes against their own personal wishes, wants, desires, and needs. Um, much like the rejection conversation. These conversations that we face in a relationship are very challenging for us to face as individuals, even though we know it goes against our basic needs, our desires and wants in a relationship. So if it sounds like to me that she wants to have an open relationship, but she doesn't want her partner to participate in that, kind of sounds like a double standard for me. And it's an opportunity for the partners in the relationship to explore what that looks like for the other person. Okay, do we have boundaries around it's only dating? It's only kissing? How far are you able to go in this open relationship dynamic that they want to construct together? Because it's really up to the two of them, and it's none of our business until they make it our business, and that rarely happens.
But the thing is, it seems like there's a lot of people that they don't know what they want. It's like a lot of, especially when you get like on Bumble, Hinge, Tinder. I haven't been on Tinder like for a very long time, but the League, this one is supposed to be like a little bit more of a higher value. I don't know if you've seen it or so forth, but it's just like I'm becoming a pro at swiping left because I don't see anything. And I mean, so like it would be awesome if you had an app that had like a video, be like, hey, this is me, how you doing? Versus, swiping versus a picture, which I think would be like, you need to watch the video before you swipe left. Get to know me a little bit better and all that. Like, it might be like, have you ever seen this movie called How Harry, this might be from your time. So gosh, I'm gonna get some idea. How Harry,
careful. Yes, when Harry met Sally. Yeah. Is that the movie you're talking about?
They had videos back then. These VHS, oh my gosh, VHS. The cassettes or, the things that you slid into the videotape player. So they had like, it's interesting because they had like, hey, you know what, this is Sally, and I'm a journalist, or she was a journalist, and I'm this and this and this. And then they looked at all those, but they actually took the time to look at it. Now we just have a simple app that picture. All right. They didn't look at the picture. The person might not even look like the picture, or they're catfishing, or they're 20, 30 pounds more heavier, Yeah,
I hear what you're saying. And there's a couple of video dating apps out there. One is called Twirl. I know the co-creator. He's a good person. His name's John Kim. He's an author and a podcast host. Tremendous man, called The Angry Therapist on social media if you want to check him out. But he co-created a video dating app called Twirl. And because he and I have a relationship, I interviewed him on my podcast, and he's like, Dave, will you test this out? Will you be one of the first people to test out the Twirl app? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. It was right before I got into my last relationship. So I wasn't crossing any boundaries there. And what I found there is that when people are faced with such a vulnerable invitation to record a video of themselves when they're putting themselves out there dating, that's a very challenging thing. What I love about TikTok, which is where you and I got connected, is that the people who show up most authentically on TikTok, their most real selves, are the people that engage with each other. Like that inspires engagement. And I want to show up as my most authentic self when I appear on TikTok. But I want to do it in like a fun, exciting, kind of confronting way. Like, I'm going to challenge you and the way that you think about modern dating when we interact on TikTok. And it's still vulnerable for me to do that. So I can imagine why the popularity of Twirl, and then there's another app, I don't remember the name of it, that are video dating only. It's extremely vulnerable. And the ease of use of Tinder and Bumble and Hinge and the League is a little bit different, but I understand what you're saying about it. it's so easy to reject because you're hiding behind that screen. And it is just a photograph of yourself, putting yourself out there. What comes to mind when I say that for you?
Right now, so I compare, and this might be funny or be like, okay, you're crazy, but I compare dating with real estate.
Okay,
because fair. It's the same thing with houses. You have pictures, they don't even look like the person, like the house, when you go like, oh my gosh, this is what it is. But then again, it's basically a lot of people building confidence. And with the video, a lot of people are out of their comfort zone. And this happens in the business world per se. Yes, at the beginning, when I started with video, I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I mean, what do I have to lose? I don't have to lose nothing. Yeah, I mean, I might just look like a fool, but who cares? It might be funny. It might not be. I mean, well, if you don't like it, then just keep on scrolling. And now it's gotten for me more with TikTok. It's gotten more of, I do it like 2 or 3 times. Sometimes you see like 10 videos of me on a day, but I feel comfortable. But I like to be myself. I don't like to hide. It is, you see what you get. If you don't like it, then that's fine with me. You don't have to follow me.
Right.
And that has gave me a lot of following. But it's being truthful. It's being, and a lot of people don't like to be vulnerable because they're afraid that they're going to get their feelings hurt.
Right. Right. It's very scary to put yourself out there. I really appreciate you sharing what your intention with TikTok is. And it sounds similar to my own. I think that's why we relate to each other so much and how we got connected. When it comes to dating, I like to remember this mantra to help me stay grounded and centered when I'm dating. Those who matter, those who don't matter, mind. Those who matter won't mind. And what that means to me is that the people that matter in my life, they won't mind that I have flaws. They actually love me for those flaws. Not in spite of, but they love me because of them. And that's one of the greatest struggles for me when dating is putting my authentic self forward and being vulnerable at the risk of the expense, at the risk of my feelings. That's a really challenging thing for me. I've gotten better at it in the last year or so. I just ended a partnership a couple months ago, so it's still fresh, it's still raw, and TikTok's been a part of that healing journey of putting my experience and my breakup journey on on a platform with like 4 billion users or something like that.
More than that, but okay, you're good. I don't think anybody that you know close to you would see it though.
That's really that's really scary. I mean, I got a lot of things coming up now that you say like, oh, are people I know going to see this? You know, I'll invite people I'm connected with on Instagram or people locally here in Denver. I'll invite them if I have their number or information and I see they're on TikTok. I'm like, yeah, sure. Come follow me. It's going to be the same authentic person that you see on Instagram or in real life, I hope.
So the whole thing with TikTok started when I got dumped.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
But it was for the best. So at that time, I thought it was not funny. I thought, but I mean, you gotta see that it's experience. It was for the best. And and that's one of the reasons I've been single for some time now. But it's not finding the first guy that you meet. And, it's getting to know them. Are you healed? Are you really healed? Have you been able to move on? Are you still crying because of him or her? I mean, in your case, but it's people are just jumping into relationships because of the codependency. Now, if we go ahead and see what type of attachments do you have? And, the attachments, are you getting to know the love language? Do you know the apology language? I mean, there's so many things that people are not digging into. And the personality types, there's a 16 personality type test out there.
Myers-Briggs, yeah.
And it's really, really important. But people, are you really digging enough to understand what that person is and has or needs and what you really need before jumping into anything?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Self-awareness is key for me. I really appreciate that you brought that up. I do love the love languages. I am a huge fan of attachment styles. It's probably my second favorite thing to talk about when it comes to dating. right behind the Enneagram, which is my favorite personality assessment. So yeah, the attachment styles are really important. 50% of the population is securely attached, and they come out of the dating pool much, much faster than the other two because I'm reading this book called Essentialism. It's a great book. And we can apply this essentialist point of view to dating. And essentialism is essentially what's important now. The acronym WIN, W-I-N. What's important now? Well, what's important now is to quite possibly set up 3 or 4 dates in a month. And by going out and experiencing 3 or 4 different people with boundaries, right? Whatever is appropriate boundaries for yourself. It doesn't really matter. That's your own personal choice. If you're dating 3 or 4 people in a month, totally acceptable. And what you're finding is you're finding the best match out of the 4. So through the process of elimination and an essentialist point of view, you can actually identify the person, whether this is your subconscious or your actual conscious choice, choosing the best fit person for you. How does that land with you?
That's interesting. My whole thing is getting to the dating part.
Getting to the dating part. So like, how do we meet somebody is what I'm hearing hearing you ask about.
This is how I see it. It is a waste of time. Don't waste my time. I'm not going to waste yours. And if you're inviting me for a date, I need to see if you're worth it or not. Because I mean, after a conversation, I can have probably a 10 or 15 minute conversation. I can tell you, you know what, this is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to that. Yeah.
And I'm like, nope, thank you. And, but am I being close-minded? Because I also was talking to one of my friends. He's actually going through a divorce right now. And he told me, Cindy, it's not about the quality, it's about the quantity right now, because that way you're going to find that lead, that one. And I'm like, okay. I see it as priorities. I got my kids. Well, first my job, my kids, travel, and dating, if that. But you know what? If I'm going to waste my time a Saturday night, it better be a good date. Meaning,
right.
But no, I don't see it that way. I'm like, I'd rather not be here. I'd rather just fly out or something.
Right. Right. Yeah. I completely understand what you're saying, that dating might be the 4th priority on your list. And picking quantity over quality is actually going to kind of impact the other 3 or 4 priorities that you hold above dating. Because if we're saying yes to everyone, we end up saying no or eliminating something else that we care about.
It's like on a Friday night, I'd rather be with my kids and do movie night, you know, and then I feel guilty when I don't do that because it's our movie night. It's Friday night. They eat pizza and popcorn. And I mean, I enjoy that. Yes. I mean, it's like I probably fall asleep and they fall asleep, but you know what? It's our time together. But then me being a single parent, am I actually prioritizing my kids more than I'm prioritizing myself? And I understand they say you should never prioritize your kids because they're going to leave you eventually, but you need to prioritize yourself. But we already have that established. It's movie night.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like Friday night is a ritual for you all. And that is a tremendous choice to implement into your parenting model. I'm assuming because you're single that like, are you co-parenting or is their dad
Japan?
Present?
He lives in Japan.
He's in Japan. Okay. That sounds really hard. So the ritual that you've put in place on Friday night is a top priority. And that's one way that you can put your children ahead of a lot of other things. But you can't pour from an empty cup, like you were saying, is you've got to take care of your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and financial health first before you necessarily put their needs ahead of any one of those categories. Because if you're on empty, if you're running on empty because you're running yourself thin for your kids, then what are you showing them? What are you teaching them? So I'm on board with what you're saying.
And that's where I have like Monday through Friday, you know, I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. And a lot of people don't do this. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I work their butts off at 5:30 in the morning, and we go to the gym from 6:30 to 7:30, Monday through Friday. And they are my accountability partners. If I don't go to the gym, they're like, "Mommy, you didn't go to the gym today." Mommy.
How old are they?
5 and 7.
Okay.
So they guilt me.
Do they work out with you, or is there like childcare at the
Oh no,
gym?
they actually they work out with me.
That's
and
fun.
my personal trainer, he's like amazing. I mean, I know I can be a pain in the butt. In some of my videos that I post on Facebook and TikTok and all that, like I think I posted one yesterday at 6:30 in the morning. And he's like, "What are you doing? You're so weird," or something. But he's been my personal trainer for almost a year. And honestly, I'm really blessed because this gym is geared towards kids, building athletes for the future, building the community. So that's what I do. And I mean, they know that every day. And then in the evenings, we're starting to do karate because they're like, "Hey, Mom, you make us go to the gym at 6:30 in the morning. So why are you not doing karate with us?"
Yeah, you mentioned that the other day, that you're not just their chauffeur, you're participating in what they care about too.
And they like to do stuff with
and
me.
What I hear you are teaching them right now that's really important for this developmental stage for them is you're teaching them how to love yourself. You're teaching them how to treat yourself. You're teaching them really high standards for what you allow and welcome into your life. And if a man doesn't match if a partner doesn't match your energy, then it's going to be a hell no.
Definitely. And like I said, I'm not going to waste my time with that at all. I mean, I bet you would do the same thing too. So it's just.
Yeah. What do you mean? Tell me more.
In this case, because I mean, would you rather waste your time with someone that is not going to be more like, going through the whole hassle of dating and then a year later be like, "Hey, you know what? I can't do this anymore. Why didn't you speak up? Speak up. If you're not happy with me, we're done. Bye." I mean, yes, it's a simple, I mean, I can say it's simple, but it's painful. So, I mean, going through the process and all that, but are you finding yourself? Are you filling that bucket? Things that you wanted to do? Because I mean, I had been through 2 divorces, 1 breakup, but I wasn't really happy. My past relationship, I was walking through eggshells. I mean, I couldn't be myself. I mean, yes, I'm a very hyper person. I'm high energy, but I couldn't be that person around him.
Sorry.
And now I do whatever I want to. Nobody tells me anything. And you know what?
And you have all this opportunity to welcome in what is meant for you because you've set that standard and the boundaries around you.
That is true. There's a book. I don't know if you've read this book, but it's called The Soulmate Secret. Have you read it?
I haven't. No.
It's a really, really good book.
What's the premise? Because I have a different take on a soulmate.
It all depends. It's basically like you have to heal yourself first. You have to make sure that you're the person that is, attracting that right person before you do all that. Because if you're attracting the same thing over and over and over again, there's something wrong. Let's say, for instance, you're like addicts, alcoholics, workaholics. So then you have to dig deep into your childhood. And forgiveness is one major part. A lot of people don't forgive before moving into a brand new relationship.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, that resonates with me. And the whole reason that I got started on this process and of self-discovery was I saw a pattern showing up in my life. And I wanted to set out on an intentional path to figure out what that was for me. And so I decided to start this little podcast and start interviewing counselors and therapists and authors and speakers and relationship experts from across the world. And along the way, I discovered a lot of things about myself. I stayed intentionally single for 3.5 years. And then I got into my last relationship that lasted about 10 or 11 months. And I saw that same pattern show up. So now there's more work to do in this time of taking a break for me.
No, and that's important because, I mean, there's no rush. I mean, do you want to have more kids? I mean, it's up to you. I mean, or do you want to enjoy and travel the world? I'm in that thing like, do I really want to
Right.
have more kids? I already have a 5-year-old and 7-year-old. They're expensive. Did you know that, by the way?
Yeah,
They're expensive.
that's a no for me. My daughter's 19 now. It would be a lot to start over
I
again.
mean, changing diapers, and I mean, going through pregnancy, oh my gosh, no, I can't even think about it. I'm
Mm,
sorry, but no.
right.
And that's the whole debate. I mean, it's just like, I'm 36 years old, but do I really want to start over? Yes, I
Right.
started late in life to have kids because I was enjoying life. I finished college, I got my master's degree, and you know what? I ended up doing something different in life. But
Mm-hmm.
are you happy where you're at? Are you discovering? Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you might get lonely sometimes, and that's okay. Read a book, listen to motivational videos. Like seriously, like motivational videos on YouTube has helped me a lot. Doing mantras. You need to increase your vibration, your frequency too. That is really, really important. So, and surround yourself with people that bring out the best in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your tribe is really important for support when you are single, when you're in a relationship. Things are still going to come up. Like, I'm part of a men's group. There's 300 members worldwide, and it grows every week. And we see men come in who are single, and then they do some work 5 or 6 months, and then they get into another relationship, and they're like, "Hey, I must have fixed it," and then they disappear. And this is a struggle for men. I think you asked me that um, earlier in the conversation, is like, what's up with men these days? And there's a struggle for men that they have a tendency to put their partnership first, like as their number one priority. It's called the nice guy syndrome. They put their partner up on a pedestal, and they start to abandon their own needs, or they present like they don't have any needs. And that's a really hard place for anyone to be. And coming from my history, I've definitely done that before, where I put the center of my world as my relationship, and it implodes and it backfires because my partner couldn't trust me. They weren't sure that I was going to stand up for them in the long run, because I never stood up to my partner.
So now that you mentioned that, it's really interesting because um, a lot of people think that, and this is so. I don't know if you've read this book, oh my gosh, Love and Respect by Dr. Emerson.
Mm,
I do a lot of reading.
mm,
Um, so,
sounds like it.
so in this case, like people think that getting into a relationship is both of you all the time, no matter what. But
Mm,
is that
mm-hmm.
healthy? It's not,
No.
because it's okay to take girls trips. It's okay to take men's trips. It's okay to be
Mm-hmm.
apart sometimes. It's okay to do things separately. It's okay for them to do golfing all day long. Believe me, I've been golfing, and if you want to take a laugh, take me. But in this case, I don't know if you want me to enter.
Same. Yeah, same.
But do things that you love. Don't lose yourself. And that's what happens along the
Mm-hmm.
way. Are you listening to your
Mm-hmm.
partner? And that's really important, because if you're not listening, then are you really communicating with them? And don't get me wrong, sex is not everything. Trust, it is the key. Trust and communication is what builds a long life relationship, and letting them, do their own things as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, definitely. Jiu-jitsu is a big part of my life. And that's 5 hours out of the week plus my commute back and forth that I'm not accessible to my partner. And if I give up that practice, for me, it's an embodiment practice. It helps me tune into my entire world. So it's like the thing that I stand firm on. No, I won't be able to give it up, but I'm flexible on it because there's multiple classes a day. I can choose a different time if it's that important, but I'm not going to give up the sport
you
at all.
shouldn't. You should not at all. And
Mm-mm.
that's my thing with me
Mm-mm.
working out every day. I have to work out. I wake up at 5:30. It doesn't matter if I go to sleep at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. I still go to the gym Monday through Friday. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'm unable to, but I make it. I make it happen. And that's really
Mm-hmm.
important for me, because that's a
Mm-hmm.
big distressor.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you on that one. Um, Having something in our lives that's that important to us is really attractive to a partner that we're with now or a partner in the future. wow, you're really passionate about exercise. Tell me more about that. And if we maintain those boundaries around that passion and that hobby and that particular interest of ours, it's going to remain attractive long-term to our partner. Wow, Dave is really firm and has boundaries around that jujitsu practice. I know that I cannot infiltrate that time, but I also know that I can ask him to be flexible. Hey, Dave, we have dinner plans with friends on Friday night. Would you mind going to the noon class instead of the 6 o'clock class? Heck yes, absolutely. My partner's not asking me to give up anything that I care about, but I'm also being very flexible within the container of the relationship because my partner is important to me.
And that's really important too. And a lot of people in now going to communication, are people communicating this, or are you pretending them to be like, hey, I'm a mind reader? Well, they, instead of saying, oh, you know what? Oh, he has class. But did you communicate that with me so I can change my class so I can go to lunch with you or dinner with you? You did not, right? So then how you expect, and this is where the arguments start.
And resentment builds. Yeah.
And then, like I said, it's communication, but why are people not communicating? Is this something that they grew up with, or something that they think that they expect that everything's going to be fine? And it's funny because love and respect is about that.
Yeah, I think you're touching on a really key component of communication, and it boils down to fear. What are we afraid of? We're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of vulnerability. And what were we taught as children when those things came up? Were we taught that we're only spoken to or we only speak when we're spoken to? Are we taught that our opinions and voices and boundaries don't matter? Were we taught that our no doesn't matter? Hey, I have desires and needs. I'd like to go to pizza this Friday night for a ritual instead of burgers. But if that voice for the child is quieted and squashed by the family system, they're going to grow up and not be able to voice their needs and wants and desires in their adult relationships either.
And that's really true too, because it all has to do on how we were raised. Were you able to speak up or not? Be like, no, just shut up. You don't say anything. Like, wait, what?
Yeah. Have you seen the viral video of the toddler eating wasabi?
No, I have not.
I think that this is a really good illustration of parenting. The parents have a toddler in a high chair, and the parents are offering this toddler wasabi. And the parents are off camera, and you can hear them saying, do you want some wasabi? And this little child is like, no. And then the parent keeps offering, do you want wasabi? No. She says it like 3 times. And then without saying yes, somebody off camera puts a chopstick with wasabi on this child's lips and tongue. And she just turns to the camera. She looks at it and she goes, help. Like, this is what happens when we don't honor our children's no. Because that was an emphatic no from the child. She has an opinion, even as a toddler. And as parents, we have to honor that and not put our child through wasabi. Are you kidding me?
Wasabi is spicy. And oh gosh, I mean, there might be some.
For a viral video, you risked the entire future of your child's. I'm going to the extreme end of what's possible here, but you didn't honor your child's no. How are they going to? They're taught something in that moment, and they're going to take it with them the rest of their lives.
Or it could be something traumatic for them too for life, because I mean, once they go ahead, wait, aren't you the wasabi kid?
Yeah.
I mean, now that anything that you post on social media stays in social media. Look, Facebook has been for over almost 20 years.
Right. Oh, gosh. Have you heard where Davey after the dentist is at nowadays?
No.
Have you seen that viral video?
No.
So Davey after the dentist, he got numbed and put on some heavy sedatives for this dental visit. And his father is filming him in the backseat of the car on the way home. It's hilarious. It really is.
I remember that video.
Davey's like, is this real life? Is this going to last forever? Well, they caught up to him at college, on like the 20-year anniversary of that, 15-year anniversary of that video. And he's at Michigan, right? That's a big time school. And he shares his experience as being the kid from Davy After the Dentist, that viral video, probably the very first viral video on YouTube ever. Like hundreds of millions of views. And it's hilarious. I've watched it 10 times at least myself. But they interviewed him 15 years later, and his life was completely changed because he was that kid.
How does it feel?
And now we have this wasabi child.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
It's devastating. It really is.
Oh gosh. But no, and you're right on that. I mean, it's just basically, are we listening to our kids? And that's where it all comes to. Like, don't force them. Like I force my kids to be like, hey, you know what? You need to try this at least once. You need to try at least once. No, I don't like it. Ew. But I mean, I at least take a chance on it once. That's it. If you don't like it, that's fine. You don't eat it again.
Yeah. Notice the difference there is you're asking them to try something new. That's a different teaching, learning experience for a child. What the difference is that the parent was asking, do you want some wasabi? And the child was saying no, as if they had had wasabi before. And they already knew that they didn't like it. So we're not asking this child to try something they've never tried before, like baseball, soccer, football, going to school for the first time. Hey, I'm going to ask you to try to go to school today. It's your very first day. But no, this child was just offered something that they knew they didn't want. Completely different lesson learned there for the child.
I never saw it that way. So that's really, really interesting.
I'll get off my soapbox and we can take it back to dating.
So how does that work with dating then? Be like, but it's just like, so my whole thing is communication. People don't communicate. People don't really say what they really mean or feel or any of that. Why is that? And what I understand is a fear. But if you don't speak up now, you end up marrying this person for the first time and you'd be like, wait, I never wanted to never wanted to get married. And that has happened to a lot of people. Because of the fear of getting rejected or saying like, oh, the embarrassment or seeing what would happen to people and all that, or the reaction of people. Who cares what people say? You are the first person. It's like, and I've always taken this. When you get on the plane, they have like, who do you put the mask on first? On the child or on yourself? Who do you take care of?
Yourself.
First.
Yeah, yourself. Right. Yeah, I can relate so much to that because my daughter's mom and I were dating for 8 or 9 months before she got pregnant. And when we shared that information with my parents, my mom said, well, when's the wedding? And for seeking my parents' approval at that time, we went ahead with the wedding. Well, the marriage was a disaster and it lasted a couple years. And this is exactly to your point of like, I had no agency or sovereignty because I wasn't encouraged to have a voice as a child. So I couldn't stand up to my parents and say, no, this isn't the right fit for me. I don't have to be married in order to be a good father.
That is very true. And that's okay not to be married. I mean, especially, if you go, it's the important thing is co-parenting. It's like, something that actually reminds me, like when I got married the first time, I did not want to get married. My dad told me, Cindy, you don't have to get married. You can just run away. You can just leave. You're not losing anything. And I was hard-headed back then. And like, I'll go through the wedding. I'll just get the divorce later. That was my first.
I'm going to learn things the hard way.
Yeah. But now it's just like, you know what? If I would have had a different perspective, it would have been all different. I would have had a different life. But in this case, it was an experience that actually, like my divorces, yes, I was embarrassed before. I was like, you know what? I'm going to lose so many friends. I did lose a lot of friends. A lot of friends and people that I thought they were my friends, but they were not. But with my divorces, it's helped me become a better realtor, believe it or not, because now I have people that confide in me and tell me, hey, how do I do this? I'm embarrassed. I'm like, and one of the reasons I actually started this podcast to talk about, real estate divorce and, parenting, because a lot of people don't like talking about it. You're not the only one going through this. There's so many other people going through that, but it's in their head. Once you listen to it and you see someone else going through it, it'd be like, oh, I can't believe I went through the same situation. And I've had other moms reach out to me, other parents as well.
Right. Yeah, much like how we got together or got connected on TikTok, where we just share similar experiences as divorced parents, and boom, the universe brings us together, and now we have this wonderful conversation that I hope helps other people, because it makes us human, you know. And I was going to ask, if you could go back and trade your experience for anything, would you do it?
Of course not, because you know what? If I would have, and it's like, I think it was like on TikTok or something, or someone made a comment on TikTok and I replied to it. I would never change it at all, because who I am today is the person, all those experiences that made me the person I am today. It's made me the best mom into my eyes and perception for my kids, because they will learn from my experience. And I won't, you know, it's sometimes we're like, oh, you know what? I wish I can go back in time and change it. But if you change things back in time, you would have a totally different outcome, wouldn't you? You know?
Yeah. Have a totally different life, and you wouldn't know the gratitude today that you were meant to learn along the way by experiencing the hard times.
Definitely. And sometimes, again, it's fear. It's fear. We are afraid to get out of our comfort zone. And once we get out of our comfort zone, we need to be uncomfortable in order to grow. Comfortable to be comfortable. Like they say, failure forward? Wait, failure forward, or I can't remember.
Forward.
Yeah, fail forward. I knew it was something like that. But it's really, really important. Are you really taking every experience that you've had in the past as negative or positive? Because keep in mind, it's really important if you look at it as a positive outlook all the time. So I have a friend that she went through a traumatic event back in December. That actually changed my whole perspective of things. And she was shot in the head, and her husband killed himself. She lost her eyes.
Oh, God.
But you know what? She's actually taking this like really, really positive everything, you know, completely positive outlook. And you know what? It's important, no matter what you go through life, you always look at a positive outcome, because that is going to define who you're now and tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds fair. That's a terrible experience. I can't imagine how hard that would be.
Yeah. But I mean, she's moved forward. She's continued. She's working right now. I mean, she continues to work. So she is an inspiration. She's, you know, it's about continuing. It's nothing about like, hey, you know what? I cannot do this. If she can do it, anybody can do it. You know, and it's about not victimizing yourself, because if you continue to victimize yourself, are you actually moving forward, or what are you actually doing?
Yeah. Sounds like you would stay stuck in that mode for years and years and years, continuing to upper limit yourself and holding yourself back from what's really meant for you.
And it's all about the mindset too. Mindset. If you listen to depressed music, if you see romantic movies that are like heartbreaking, or you know, then you surround yourself through all these, then that's going to bring you sad. It's going to bring you down. It's going to be. But if you're seeing like The Founder, or things that are going to bring you up and lift you, and listening to affirmations, and you're reading books that will help you change your complete mentality, then that's completely a different outlook.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that was well said.
Yeah. So we talked about relationships. Well, yeah, relationships.
Did we talk?
No, we didn't talk about relationships. No. We talked about rejection. We talked about open relationship and double standards, boundaries, like how important it is for boundaries. So a lot of people
Mm.
say that, hey, you should actually do like a 90-day thing before doing anything. And other people have different aspects of that too. Setting your boundaries if you want to continue or not moving forward, or it is what it
Mm-hmm.
is. Depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
the mantra, self-awareness, is really important. Do you have, so what if can anybody join that men's group if they're a man?
Yeah, I would recommend that members reach out to me, and I can get them more information if they're interested in looking for a men's group right now.
Okay.
Yeah, have them reach out to me. I'll guide them.
I will do that. I'll, once we get out of this, then I'll get your information so I can actually put in the podcast as well. And then
Cool.
having things important. Awesome. So dating apps, which is the best dating app you've been on?
For me, it was Hinge. Hinge was probably the most authentic one for me.
I've been on Hinge. I don't know yet. I'm about to look at the app again, but I'm going to try Twirl, I guess.
Twirl. Yeah. I'm not sure where they're at on user numbers. I was one of the beta testers and actually found a few clients from there. Some people saw how I was showing up. I was dabbling in the video authenticity of like, how much do I put myself out there, and gained some really good friends from it. But I'm an infrequent dater. I'm a less is more kind of a guy.
What does that mean?
And coming at it from an essentialist point of view of like, all right, I may only date 5 or 10 people and choose the best one for me out of that pool of 10. Okay,
so now that you mentioned that, 5 to 10 people, but then now my question is, are you dating them all at once?
No, that would be really hard for me to do because of something that's called the paradox of choice, where if we have too many choices, then we make no choices at all. And if I were to date 10 people, it would be over the course of like 3 months. Around 1 date a week, if not a little bit less than that frequently. And of those 10, I would find, okay, I want to go on a second date with this person, but not that person. Let them know and move on. Okay, well, out of those 10, I want to go on a third date. Oh, and then I want to go on a fourth date with that person. It's not about looking too far ahead into the future. It's what's important now. Is it important for me right now to set up a third date with this person? I ask myself yes or no. And if it's a no, then we have that conversation and say, hey, it's been fun. I just don't feel the connection.
So then my question is, okay, so now that you're mentioning about the dating thing, how soon do you know, or do you tell them, hey, I want to go on a second date with you? Or you wait.
That's the tricky part.
Or you wait a month or two. Or you wait a few weeks.
No, not even a few weeks. Strike while the iron is hot, when I go out on a first date with somebody, I'll generally start with something like low barrier, not low commitment. That's the wrong word, but low barrier, something like coffee, something like, I don't drink much. So that's not a very good date for me. I don't find my authentic self showing up when I have alcohol on a date. So I'll choose coffee, but I don't drink coffee. So I have tea, which gives me a lot of opportunities to get creative about what tea house I want to take this person to. So I'll take the lead and I will invite the person to, here's 2 choices in our neighborhood. Which would you prefer? Or if they're having a hard time picking, I'm like, all right, I'll just meet you here at this time. See you then. After that first date, I actually give it space. I give it time for the questions to be answered or the questions to be asked of like, wow, that date went pretty well. Do I want to see this person again? But I don't even know the answer for myself at the end of that first date. So before I leave that first date, I'm not setting up the second. I can't do that because I don't know if I want to see them yet. I haven't had the opportunity to ask myself those questions of like, Dave, did you have a good time? Do you want to see this person again? And that's why I give it space after the first date. My last partner and I went out on a Friday for coffee. I don't drink coffee, so I had a soda water, but it was the next Tuesday before we talked again. And that gave it space and it gave it time. It just happened to be Labor Day weekend. So like I already had plans for the weekend and I wasn't really available to talk. And it was just coincidence that it happened Friday to Tuesday.
Interesting. But then again, now you see there's what type of attachment you are.
I'm an avoidantly attached person. Yes.
Be like,
yes.
I'm not trying to analyze you here, but I'd be like, so he is single, he lives in Denver, and he's lucky. Wait, he only dates 5 to 10, and he'll pick the best one. So this is follow him on TikTok.
That's funny. I don't know when this will air, but I'm not available at this time because I'm still healing from my partnership that ended. And
but you can have
and
friends.
This has been a lot of yes, definitely. I have plenty of friends. I don't need any more.
Oh, by the way, he is antisocial. He does not let anything get. By the way, this is the first time I met him on a video call. So sorry, right. Podcast. Sorry, I had to throw that out there. It's funny.
Right. We're perfect strangers and we got along just fine. But I do have a hard stop here at 4:00.
Not a problem.
So I want to tell you how much fun I had and how much I enjoyed our conversation.
It was nice having you on my podcast. Send me your information, and then I am going to finish this. And stay tuned for my next episode. It will be next week. Have a nice day. Bye. Oh,
thanks, Cindy.
Did I hang this up? Oops. Okay, now.